some home run steady. What's it done for your rotation and specifically?
Well, it solidifies all five guys. You know, you don't have to juggle, you don't have to keep looking for a fifth starter, you don't have to, bring somebody up, send somebody down, bring somebody out of the bullpen. He's done it, he's had success doing it, but it's really truly remarkable that he's been able to accomplish what he has 13 months out of having that shoulder operation. But it just goes to tell you what kind of a guy he is and how hard he works and get himself ready.
Terry, remember when we were talking to you in spring training, you were upbeat and optimistic, even if you were one of the few voices who seemed to be that way in spring training. And I think maybe it was easy to wonder if you were just doing what managers have to do in February and try and keep a positive atmosphere. Obviously, 70-some games in the season, it looks like you really didn't know what you were maybe had in store there. I mean, do you remember in those opening in February thinking that what you've seen over these 470 games or what you thought you could see?
Well, Mike, there's been a lot of variables involved, but, as I've said before, when I sat down, before I came to spring training, before we opened up, I looked at the names on the list that were coming to camp. I knew what the club was going to look like. And, every year, every winter, I sit down and look at what you have, and I kind of look at the general stats, and I don't look at the best year they've ever had or the worst year they've ever had. I take a look at the general numbers, their average numbers that they, that they're probably going to do. And I said, gosh, what's wrong with this team? Yeah, we don't have Jose, we don't have Carlos, and, Angel's gone, but, these guys are pretty, now we might have to have a young guy in here, but there's nothing wrong with that. They bring energy to the club. There's a lot of reason, and you sit there and say, somebody's got to be the rookie of the year. Why not one of our guys? So when I came to spring training, I really thought, have our pitching stayed healthy, and we could keep our lineup, which I thought was going to be fine, keep them healthy, I thought we'd be fine. Now, we've had some ups and downs. Ike hasn't got off to the start we expected. Murph's in a slump that we didn't expect. But for the most part, we've had some guys step up and had some huge surprises, which has made us be able to compete.
Terry, we've seen teams that didn't get along win championships. This team obviously seems to have a special sort of camaraderie, and maybe the way they handled Frank in the aftermath of the stuff yesterday was a good example of it. I know you can't technically quantify what a harmonious clubhouse means, but can you put some sort of value on how the way these guys seem to get on with each other translates into what they do on the field?
Well, obviously, this game is about talent. It always will be about talent. It's not about the managers and the coaches. It's about the talent on the field. And if you have great talent and they don't get along in the clubhouse, you're still going to be successful because the talent plays. When you mix and match young guys who are trying to fit in and, guys from the outside, 6-year free agents, and they're trying to fight through injuries and all, it's good to have a clubhouse where people get along.
Incarnations of the Yankees, what is it about them? Do you see any common threads in the different Yankee teams that you've managed against?
Well, obviously, personnel-wise and name-wise, this is the best lineup I've seen of a Yankee team. But I will tell you something. Back when I was managing Anaheim, and they won 118 or whatever they won that one year, that was a very, very good team. The pitching was outstanding. They had a great. If they wanted to rest somebody, they went to that bench. They had Straw sitting over there, or they had Charlie Hayes, or the days that Hayes played, Boggsy sitting over there. They had weapons for you. But this lineup is, this lineup's second to none for me. The lineups I've seen put out there. There's just no way to go about trying. You cannot make mistakes. You have to be able to keep your concentration, and if you make a mistake, you better be able to get over it because you've got another bomber coming in that lineup. And Joe's done a tremendous job managing, but that is, when you're looking at an infield that possibly everyone's going to the Hall of Fame, holy man. Please show me another team that can do that.
All right, does seeing Jason Bay here just walking around in good spirits give you hope that maybe this isn't as bad as maybe you originally thought?
Well, it certainly does. I talked to Jason at length yesterday, and he's still got some discomfort. His shoulders and some other things that are still feeling the brunt of the collision with the wall. But the fact that his head feels better, that the headaches and the dizziness is going away, those were great signs. Those are great signs. And I know our medical team will take this slow and hopefully get him back and as soon as we possibly can.
Terry, looking at tomorrow night for a second, just for RA, do you view tomorrow night, primetime Yankees CC, as another benchmark? Or do you-
Well, one thing about us, we're very lucky as an organization to be, on TV like we are. But if you haven't seen this guy, you should tune in. I mean, we've all seen CC in playoff games and World Series games, and a lot of people, because the Yankees run a lot of people haven't seen R.A. Dickey do what he's doing right now. And I just hope tomorrow night he's as effective as he has been, because it'll be fun to watch for the person that has heard about him but has never seen him pitch. It's going to be fun for him to watch him.
Terry, just to follow along those lines, you might remember back in '76 when Mark Fidrich had that sort of coming out party against the Yankees on national TV. He was a kid, he was 21 years old. Here you got a guy who's 37 who might be pitching under somewhat similar circumstances. Do you see any kind of parallel there and the irony in a 37-year-old introducing himself to the country in the way that a young Fidrich once did?
I'm not sure, because he's such a different guy. As he said the other day, it's just another game for him. And he wants to go out and compete the best he can. And he knows who it is. Don't make no mistake. He knows who it is. But he approaches it. Hey, look, I got to go pitch my game, and I got to make my pitches. And if I do, I'm going to get outs. But I just think it's great for some people that have not seen him to be able to witness, hopefully, what a story he is and how remarkable he has been pitching. A little different lineup.
Terry, about CY. I mean, what did you realistically expect from this guy? And as far as him coming along, what did you think he might actually be able to give your team compared with what he has?
When we signed CY and he came to spring training and he told me what he'd been doing, I had a conversation with Johan and said, hey, here's what CY's been doing. Compare it to where you were at this stage. And he said, well, he's going to need a break. He's going to need a break. It's really difficult. You're going to feel good, and then you're going to feel your body's going to get slammed. So I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought, okay, we've got to manage this whole thing again. We've got to make sure we put him in the right situation so that the rest is going to be comparable to what he's going to need to recuperate. And he hasn't needed any of that. So it just, again, it goes to salute him about how hard he has worked to be able to do what he's done at this early in the season. I didn't think we'd have him until July 1st.
Even pitching better at times than he did last year.
Still being a young guy, the amount of confidence he has, does that surprise you?
When you win as much as he does, you can get confident. But I don't think he takes it for granted. He works extremely hard. He goes over a lot of little details to make sure that he's prepared for every game.
What are some of the details that he's...
Well, he's going to look at film, he's going to look at hitters, he's going to look at numbers, and he worries about what he's doing and making sure he stays strong, and he does all those things.
Joe, with all the advanced metrics that there are, wins have kind of been devalued. Do you think there's anything to a guy who just kind of knows how to win for a pitcher?
Well, I think so, yeah, because I think you get situations where you could let things unravel, but if you know how to win, you're able to stop rallies, and you're able to make pitches when you have to. I think definitely there's an art to winning.
Joe, I know it's not until tomorrow, but with Dickey going, would you alter your lineup at all because of a knuckleballer, or would you be concerned at all about what effect he might have on some of the guys just because he's such a different pitcher?
No, you can't worry about that. You got to play the game. He's going to throw it anywhere from 70 to 80 miles an hour. He's going to throw his fastball to 85, 86. You're probably not going to see many of them. But you're going to face a guy that's throwing 82 to 86 today that pitches up the zone, and I can't worry about if that's going to affect any of our hitters as well. So I don't think you really alter your lineup. If you see someone has had a lot of success, you might put him in there thinking that they've been successful against knuckleballers, but for the most part, no.
Joe, is there an effective or realistic
game plan against the knuckleball as effective as Dickey's? I mean, what are your hitters looking to do tomorrow?
I really haven't talked too much about it because I'm worried about today. You know, the game plan in today, what we're worried about. So, I mean, we'll get into that more tomorrow. But you have to look for one. To me, you have to look for one that's up in the zone because if he gets it down, it really, I don't know what effect you want to say. It has that butterfly effect where you don't know where it's going. You have to look for one up the zone and try not to chase pitches. That's easier said than done. But he does throw a lot of strikes.
Joe, a few years ago, you guys, before a game against Wakefield, I think this was when Joe Torre was managing, you guys brought in a knuckleballer to throw batting practice in advance of the game against Wakefield. Anything, do you guys think about doing that now? Is that in the plans? Did you do it?
I remember when we used to do that, there are no plans to do that. Those guys aren't really easy to find either. They're not really lining up, but I'm sure if it's written in the paper tomorrow, we might have a few calls, but we have no plans to do that.
Joe, I don't know if one game is enough for you to get a read on it, but the City Field is a little different than it was last year. Did it seem any different? And also, these Mets are different from the ones you've seen in the last couple of years, and what do you think about their sort of new look for them?
Yeah, they obviously have a lot of young players that have talent here, is what we've seen. You think some of them have gotten off to slow starts this year, but I look up at the board last night. We look at Duda's numbers over 600 at bats, and they're pretty darn good. I mean, they're pretty darn good. So, these guys have played hard. They've had to deal with injuries. They've done a lot of things to keep themselves right in this race. As far as the park being different, I'm not so sure if that ball's a home run last night, in a sense. If the fences aren't moved in, and hopefully we can take advantage of that time. Not yet. I don't think you really see a whole lot of different emotion until maybe the day they pitch, possibly. My guess is you're not going to see any different of a CC tomorrow than you would on any other day. But, there could be. Who knows? There could be, but my guess is no.